Motor, J Motor, J Motor, J Motor, fucking name. Heckler House, Heckler House. Oh, 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 oh.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. The realm of news. So, the left are trying to use the god-awful, evil, satanistic witch known as Taylor Swift, one of the worst feminist evil women on the planet. She is literally freaking brainwashed manipulated a bunch of little girls into her bullshit. And of course, because they like her, you got all these adults who just, let their little girls dictate whatever the fuck they're gonna do, and they join right along with them, and it's just pure evil, pure evil. Anyways, they were using her for the Super Bowl crap and trying to start a bunch of crap. Saying the NFL's rigged or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was all a distraction, every bit of it. Because the Democrats, along with several rhinos, snuck in to the Senate and tried to pass a bill to give Ukraine and, Israel and a couple other places a bunch of money. And they said, fuck Americans, we're not going to fucking put any money towards the border, we're just going to fund money over there so we can launder it and get rich. And that's what they did. They went in the middle of the fucking night while everybody was paying attention to the fucking Super Bowl and went to go pass that bill. I mean, guys, come on. Fucking, this is corruption on a super scale. The Democrats are pure evil. And the rhinos are just, the Republican rhinos are just as bad. It's terrible. And they have a list of them. All these people need to be put in jail and thrown out of the Senate. These are criminals. These are not fucking parties, and they don't have your best interest at heart. They could give a fuck less. They are out to fucking get rich quick scheme. And that's what they're doing. Because everybody knows that they're money laundering through these countries. Especially Ukraine. People need to fucking wake up and get these fuckers out of office. These fucking crooks. Anyways, that's the big news I have for you today. Let's get on to what I really want to talk to you about. I just got done watching a television series called Manimal. This was back in like 1983 is when it came out. They say it did well over there in France or whatever, supposedly. For whatever reason, they showed it in France. I don't get it. I don't see how it did well over there, because it didn't do well over here. Most of the reviews I saw on this were from men who watched it when they were really young, like when they were like 10 years old or some shit. And they liked it back then when they were little kids. I didn't see any adult reviews. I mean, they're adults now, but you know, none of the reviews were from women or, you know, people who had watched it as an adult back in the 80s. It was all little kids when they were little kids. Now, Simon McCrackendale, he is the main character. He plays the Manimal character. Now, he's a decent actor, but I didn't like the whole stuffy, I'm better than you English professor type character he was playing. And he played a character that, as a professor, he was like some kind of zoologist or something. You know, he dealt with animals a lot. And then you have, you know, Michael D. Roberts. He was kind of the sidekick, his assistant or whatever, this black guy. Now, in the pilot episode, they had a different black dude playing the part of his assistant. But a lot of times you get that. It happens quite often. They'll pitch a pilot episode and they'll replace that actor with somebody else for the actual show. The only character I did not like and I thought was completely unbelievable was Melody Anderson's character. She played the female cop that was with them. Now, she's a good-looking woman, but she was very, very girly. So, her being this, like, really, you know, tough, she was pretending really hard to be like this tough cop chick or whatever. It was pretty bad. I didn't like her character at all. She just didn't come off that way. She came off like a princess, you know. But only thing she's really known for, honestly, is she had a role in the, you know, the B-rated Flash Gordon movie in the 80s. That's literally all she's... Though she's a brunette, in this she's a blonde. I think she looks way better looking as a blonde. Not to say there's anything wrong with brunettes. It's just she looked way better as a blonde. Anyways, throughout most of the show, it's more like a, you know, superhero crime fighting show is basically what it is. You don't really get a huge backstory. When they did the pilot, they changed the intro once the show came out. So you got a little bit of a backstory in the intro. Something to do with his dad passing on the powers to him or some bullshit. Other than that, that was about it. The most annoying thing probably about the show was 90% of the time he would change into a fucking Black Panther or a fucking Hawk. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just, it was like almost every episode he would change into one of these two animals. And naturally, because of the special effects or whatever that they were trying to do, they were really cheesy looking. It was almost nightmarish the way they did the fucking transformations. And what's really bad is these transformations, on the show would last like 2 or 3 minutes before he could actually transform. So there's a lot of times in the show, when I'm watching the show, I'm like, dude, that dude would already been dead by now because you're taking fucking 3 minutes to fucking transform. Shit like that. But anyways, he did change into a few other animals, but you didn't see any transformation special effects when he did. Like, I think one time he became a dolphin, a cat, a mouse, a horse. He did change into a few other animals, but again, you didn't get to see a transformation with those. Just the cat and the hawk. And I get it. Special effects can be expensive, and that's why they reuse footage to do that kind of shit. All in all, though, the show was okay. I really couldn't get into it. It wasn't really that great. Plus, there were like 2 or 3 episodes that I know I've seen on other shows. Like, the story has been used for other shows. Like the girl in the jungle or wild girl. I've seen that story used like 3 or 4 other shows. About the girl living in the wild in the jungle, blah blah blah. They had an episode about that. But I've seen that story several times. But other than that, the show was okay. You can check it out if you want. I mean, it may be worth a one-time watch. I could have been fine without watching it, but I went and watched it anyway. Because I've seen that. I'd never seen it, but, but I knew of its existence, basically. So I went ahead and watched it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Check it out if you want. Part of Sci-Fi. Let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, movieaholics, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Now, this week is Horror Week. I chose a couple of more light-hearted, not too super depth and horror, like gross or really scary, that kind of, it's more light-hearted. The first one I watched is a Stephen King adaptation. It was done in 1985, and it made roughly about $12 million worldwide. And it was called Silver Bullet. Now this starred Gary Busey, Corey Haim, and Megan Follows. Corey and Megan play brother and sister in this movie, and Gary plays their uncle. Now, the whole story is about there's a series of killings in this town, and it's told from Megan's perspective, or Megan's character's perspective, that there's a bunch of killings in this town during the summer of '76. Everyone's freaking out because these killings, when they find the people, they're ripped to shreds. Now, Corey Haim, he plays a kid who's doesn't have the use of his legs. He runs around in a wheelchair, and Gary Busey builds him this really fast, like motorbike wheelchair kind of thing, and he calls it Silver Bullet. So that's where you get the name Silver Bullet, because it's all silver. Anyways, Corey Haim, he goes out one night and he's shooting fireworks or whatever, and he sees the killer, and he's all like, holy shit, the killer's a werewolf, you know. He shoots a rocket at him, and it hits the werewolf in the eye, and he takes off in a bat out of hell in his Silver Bullet ride. They figure out, him and his sister both figure out it's the priest, because now he's got you know, he had an injury with his eye, he's got an eye patch on it now, blah blah blah, so they know he's the werewolf. Now, the sister and the uncle haven't seen the werewolf, just Corey's character. He tells them it's a werewolf, but they're like, eh. So, but anyways, his uncle, Gary, he starts to believe him, so does his sister, that something's going on, and that the priest is definitely involved. They try to get the sheriff involved, but he ends up getting killed. But there's just some evidence that points that the priest is definitely involved. So Corey somehow, his character, he convinces Gary's character, his uncle, to make a silver bullet, which he does. So they're waiting one night when they know the priest knows all about him, because he's been trying to kill him. They know it's a full moon, he's going to show up as a werewolf and try to kill him, which he does. They're all in the house, they're waiting on him. There's a big fight that ensues, but then he shoots him in the chest, right in the heart, with the silver bullet, and it kills him. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. It was okay. Some of the special effects were a little bit cheesy, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It was definitely a decent story. It's worth a one-time watch. I know I watched this when I was a kid back in the 80s, but it's been so long, I had to re-watch it. And I usually do. Just to let you guys know, I re-watch all these movies, even if I've seen them years ago, because I want to refresh my memory on them. I want to give you an honest take or an opinion on it, not just fucking, you know what somebody else wrote about it or some bullshit like that. Fuck that shit. I want some honest opinion. Hey, you know, I want some truth and facts when somebody's telling me about a fucking movie that they've watched, you know? I don't know what bullshit. Oh, fuck, I liked Megan because everybody else liked Megan. It's so diverse. And blah, blah. One of the worst fucking horror flicks that came out last year. That fucking Megan. Wasn't even really, it was more like a sci-fi thing. It was so dumb. It reminded me of the new Chucky remake. Another god-awful fucking movie. Yeah, horror today sucks. They can't do it. Well, that's not just horror. It's about any movie. I hate most of the remakes, the reboots, blah blah. Hollywood can't fucking write worth a shit. They suck. All that feminist crap they throw in the fucking movies, the leftist ideology, it just sucks. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know, I rewatch all that shit. I want to give you a fresh perspective. Also, a lot of these old television series I've never seen. I haven't ever seen them. So I'm watching them for the first time. Anyways, yeah, it was a decent flick. I give it 2 thumbs up. It wasn't bad. You know, Stephen King could write. He's just a fucking loony. He really is. You should go on to Twitter and see some of the fucking insane loony shit he says. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. That dude's fucking gone, man. Anyways, let's get on to your next one. The next one is an old classic. And I know I watched this as a kid too. I know I did. I couldn't remember a lot of it. I barely remember bits and pieces. Like the witch in the movie. I remember her. That was about it. The next one was done in 1983. It made about 8 million worldwide. It was a Walt Disney production. Also, it's an adaptation of a Ray Bradbury novel, which I thought he was strictly sci-fi. I didn't know he did some horror too, but apparently he did. It's called Something This Way Wicked Comes. Starring Shawn Larson, Vidal Peterson, Ellen Gear, there's several stars in this movie. Anyways, there's this dark carnival that comes, and they feed the carnies feed off like fear, sorrow, misery, all the bad emotions, blah blah blah. They feed on it. They come into town. They promise fucking these people, like they can become younger, or they can become rich, or blah blah blah. They give them these fucking fantasy things, but in actuality, they just end up joining the Dark Carnival and becoming one of them. Well, the 2 boys find out that's in this movie. They kind of find out what's going on, and so does one of the boys' fathers. So yeah, they figure out what's going on. They decide that they're going to go and try to shut down the Dark Carnival. They're going to go after the guy who runs it. His name is Mr. Dark. He can do a couple little magical abilities, but his greatest power is this witch that he has with him. She can do all kinds of weird shit. Anyways, the father figures out, what the Dark Carnival is all about, and that they'd been there before, and blah blah blah. This isn't the first time. In fact, his grandfather or some shit tried to stop him once before. Mr. Dark mentions him at some point in time, but eventually he captures the boys. Now the boys earlier in the movie, they had seen this carousel that can either, how do I put this? If someone's riding the carousel and it's going forward, it will make them age faster. If it's going backwards, it will take years off of them and make them younger. there is, he has this weird, the carnival has this weird maze of mirrors that lets him see certain aspects of their lives that they regretted or some shit. And kind of takes a little bit of their soul or some shit and stores it in it for Mr. Dark. Now, it's kind of like a source of his power. Now, there's some mention of something to do with the storm coming and lightning, and it could either benefit him or make it worse. So he's kind of wanting to know when this lightning's come. He tortures one guy trying to get him to tell him when, you know, some kind of weather dude, like, when's this lightning supposed to show? He needs to know for some reason. Anyways, he never really finds out. And towards the end of the movie, they basically start fighting with him. Not actually physically fighting him, but mentally. And they kind of defeat him. The weather guy kind of shows up and spears the fuck out of the witch, kills her, which is his main power. Mr. Dark's main power was that witch. Anyways, kills her. He runs off. For whatever reason, he's trying to capture the lightning, and he goes to use the carousel to do it, but it gets tripped up on the carousel. It falls down, and then the lightning strikes the carousel the wrong way, and it starts making it speed up and going forward, and it literally just pretty much ages him to death. He's supposed to be immortal, but for whatever reason it didn't. The carousel speeds him up and he's no longer immortal, and it basically kills him, you know, makes him age to death until he's like a skeleton. And one of these little midget guys comes in there. There's two of them. He comes in there and grabs him, carries him off. And then all of a sudden, this huge tornado shows up. Luckily, the carnival's on the outskirts of the town, and it just sweeps up the whole carnival, destroys it, takes it with it, and that's the end of the movie. They all live happily ever after. It's okay, baby. I thought it was alright for back then, you know. It's actually a pretty decent movie. I give it 2 thumbs up. It's definitely a Walt Disney classic. That's worth a one-time watch for sure. Even if you're not into horror, way better than that Nightmare Before Christmas kind of bullshit. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a one-time watch. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. If you could think of anything, any suggestions of B-rated or underrated films that you may think I may never even heard of, you know, some really good B-rated stuff, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. And I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. Now, if you have anything, any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your comments, you know, your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. Till next time, I told you to be told the truth, and you just been told.